EasyFog is a lightweight, elegant solution for adding localized fog, clouds, and mood to really polish up any environment in Unreal Engine 5. If you've ever used the default exponential height fog in Unreal, you'll know it's great, but it is a bit tricky to art direct and get the look you want with it. That is where EasyFog comes in and why it should be a part of your Unreal toolbox. Using a blueprint here, you can quickly adjust the fog's shape, density, and color to integrate it as well as possible into your level, help make the fog match your sky and background color, giving you complete control over its appearance. You can even add wind effects, however subtle, to breathe a bit of life into your world. EasyFog includes 10 different fog alphas and 10 matching normal maps to level up your fog or clouds by giving them a lot more volume. I built this tool out of necessity for my own project because I needed a solution to place fog in a way that allows me to tweak each individual fog card without material instances, because that quickly bloats your content browser with a whole bunch of files. With EasyFog, however, all you need is the blueprint, no additional materials are needed. If this is the tool you would like to get your hands on, I'm running a 50% off deal for the next week only. You can purchase EasyFog on Gumroad or ArtStation Marketplace. You'll find a link down below. Now, having shown you what EasyFog is and what you can do with it, let's jump into Unreal so I can show you how to use it. And we can get started with how to install it. Once you've downloaded EasyFog, you can unzip the folder and you'll get two additional folders here. We've got 5.0.3 and 5.1. Initially, I made EasyFog on Unreal Engine 5.1. If for whatever reason you're still on 5.0, you'll have a working version of the build there. So going into the 5.1 folder, you're going to have the EasyFog Unreal Engine project right here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this Unreal Engine project here. And the first thing you see when you open up the project is the showcase level, showing you each and every one of the 10 different cloud alphas that come included with EasyFog. Additionally, if you navigate to the levels folder in the content browser, you'll find level demo, which I'm going to open up right here, which showcases a more real world use case of EasyFog. So this may look a little underwhelming right now, but I went ahead and added a camera for this level by going up here, clicking on SEQ demo, and clicking on the little camera icon right here. And so I've included this level primarily to show you how it can work right out of the box, to give you a good example of its potential. Now, having the EasyFog project is all fine and dandy, but what if you wanted to just add EasyFog to an existing Unreal project? You have two ways of doing this. The easiest way is to use Unreal's built-in Migrate feature. So we're going to go to the content browser and we're going to go to the EasyFog folder itself. You're going to right-click on it. We're going to go to Migrate. Click OK. What you need to do now is you need to go to the content browser of your desired project that you want to copy EasyFog to. This entirely depends on where you have saved your Unreal Engine project. So navigate to the Unreal project itself, and you want to select the content folder. Okay, so click on the content folder, click on select folder now, and just like that, the EasyFog folder will be correctly migrated to your desired Unreal Engine project. Alternatively, the other way to do it is to manually copy the files over. So in the EasyFog folder that you downloaded from Gumroad or any other marketplace you bought it from, you can go to the content folder in that folder and copy the EasyFog folder itself. Okay? We're going to copy that, and here we're going to have our desired target Unreal Engine project. So again, depending on where you have it saved, navigate to wherever the Unreal project is, open up that content folder, and you can just simply paste the EasyFog folder into your desired project. And everything from there should work just fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all of my EasyFog actors here, and I'm going to delete them. And we're going to start over from scratch to really give you a visual example of how I would use EasyFog in a real world situation. So to get started, the only thing you need to do is we're going to go to the content browser. We're going to go to the blueprints folder right here. And you'll see here we've got the BP EasyFog. Drag and drop this into your level, and we can rotate it into place like that, like such. And we can just move it up and scale it up as we see fit. Make it the size you want. You can scale it up non-uniformly however you want. You can flip it around, upside down, however you like. The choice is yours. Now, with the blueprint in our scene, let's go through each and every single one of the settings in the details panel. So starting off with the core basics, we've got base color map, and that is the base color of your cloud. So right now I've got just a very low-key tileable texture. This, by default, should work pretty good out of the box. You pretty much never really need to touch that. Next, we've got the opacity map, and the opacity map is what's going to change the shape of your cloud. So in order to change that, let's click on the little browse button here, and it's going to navigate in your content browser to the folder where each and every one of your cloud alphas are located. So we've got 10 different ones here. If I wanted to have, let's say, this cloud instead, right here, you'll see we've got a totally different cloud shape now. If I wanted to use this one, for example, we can have that too. If we wanted to use a very simple radial fog like this, we can have that too. The radial fog is probably my favorite for really establishing some very subtle localized fog in your level. This is often what I like to start my level off with. Just establishing some localized pockets of fog in our level is a great way to get started and instantly add some mood to your scene, right? It doesn't get any easier than that. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and use the default one. Next, we've got the normal map slot, and we're going to jump into that a little bit later, but really this is where you assign the desired normal map. You'll see each and every single one of the cloud alphas has their own respective normal map with it. So in general, you're going to want to make sure that the normal map you use matches the opacity map that you're using, right? Next up, we have base color tint. That is how we go ahead and add a color to our fog to really help it match the sky itself. So for example, if I wanted to match the color of the sky here, we're going to go ahead and use the eyedropper tool and just click, let's say here like that. Of course, it's going to be too dark, right? But that's okay. We're going to go click on here again and bump up that brightness. At least we have the correct hue now. So from there, it's just a matter of tweaking and getting roughly the right saturation and the right value for the cloud to kind of blend into your sky correctly. Next, we have base color contrast, and that's kind of where it's going to help the cloud here fit in a little bit better in our scene. You'll see because of the base color map, we've got this tiling cloud texture. You'll see these little patches of dark are a little bit too strong for my taste. And of course, this depends on your scene. There's no magical setting here. None of the settings here will work 100% of the time in every single environment. You're going to have to massage and finesse your settings based on your level. But for now, I'm going to turn the base color contrast to a negative value to reduce that contrast. You'll see a little bit right here. If I put it to like minus 0.4, now we've kind of got rid of that ugly black splotch there. So already this kind of feels a little bit more neutral and blends into the sky a little bit better. Next, we have base color intensity, and that's kind of, again, like the name says, we can increase the intensity of the base color texture itself. Next, we have emissive intensity, and you might not think that clouds emit light because they don't, but the emissive intensity is really the one I use the most often for really finessing and art directing my fog cards as much as possible. So if I set this to like 0.3, if I set it to 0, you'll see it just gets too dark. It's really like pitch black, right? Even though my base color is kind of bright, that's because these fog cards are lit, right? So if I rotate it perpendicular to the sun right here, you'll see it actually gets lit correctly. But we don't really want our fog card to be lit quite the way that the static meshes would be lit, right? And that's where the emissive intensity comes in handy. So like 0.3 is usually a good starting point. And just like that, we're already, it is blending into our sky pretty well. I hope you can see in the video, but we do have a nice gradient here across the fog card itself. Next, we have normal map intensity, and that's where things start getting interesting. So I'm going to set this to 1, and you'll see, of course, nothing happens because we haven't assigned a normal map to it yet. So I'm going to go make sure that I'm going to select the correct normal map, which is this one right here. Drag and drop that here, and you'll see already it was subtle, but there was a change there. See before and after, before and after, we're getting a little bit of extra volume in this cloud like this. So if I were to exaggerate the normal map intensity here to something like 5, you'll see suddenly we get way more volume to our cloud. It's starting to feel like a real cloud now. If I turn this off, back to 0, back to 5, you'll see it's a tremendous difference. Just a reminder, none of this is volumetric. And yes, in theory, volumetric clouds are better, so to speak, absolutely. But this way, with EasyFog, it makes it a whole lot easier to just place very specific clouds in very specific locations to get the look that you want. Next, we have fog density right here. It's how dense your fog cards will be. So if I were to reduce this to something like 0.5, you'll see as I adjust this, it really changes the opacity of the cloud itself. But next up is where things get really interesting, and the geometry fading distance is probably my favorite setting in EasyFog. So you'll see here that we've got a default of 1000. If I set it to 0, notice how now the fog really clips with the landscape. It does not look very good. And this is what would typically happen with fog cards that don't have the geometry fading built in. So it doesn't look very good, but as we increase the geometry fading distance like this, you'll see we can suddenly start having it blend into the landscape completely seamlessly. And taking a look at this example from a snowy scene, you can use the geometry fading distance to really help the fog cards blend in with the trees like this. It just helps the fog feel a lot more betterer. So feel free to experiment with that. Next, we have the camera fading distance, and that is a pretty interesting one. And it might not be immediately obvious what it does, because if I set this to 0 and back to 1000, you'll see nothing changes. But let me demonstrate. If I move the camera all the way over here, notice how as the camera goes through the cloud itself, it just fades away. It doesn't clip suddenly. If I were to set the camera fading distance to something like 0 again, you'll notice that we get this popping, right? It doesn't look very good. There's no seamless transition. And that is where the camera fading distance comes in really handy. If you wanted to have like an establishing shot of the camera kind of emerging through the cloud like this, you would need to have the camera fading distance. And so that's why I have a default value of 1000. Now you'll see the camera just blends in through it seamlessly. It's a good little setting to know about. Next up, we have the cast shadow option, but this is not going to work by default because it only works if you're using ray traced shadows in your scene. So if you're using Lumen, the cast shadows option here is not going to do anything, just so you know. And now we have one last trick up our sleeve, and that is the wind controls. So you'll see right here we've got wind, yes or no. It's a value between 0 and 1. I'm going to put this to 1, and you'll notice that, okay, we kind of lost our cloud here. It doesn't look nearly as dense or opaque as it used to be, right? So due to the way that I made the fog material, you're going to need to compensate with emissive intensity or fog density to bring it back up to how it looked previously. So I'm going to increase the emissive to something like 0.6. Now you'll see that the wind is kind of moving in a downward pattern, but don't worry, we can choose the exact directionality of the wind with the wind speed Y and the wind speed X right here. So if I were to set this to something like 500, and set the wind speed to, let's say, minus 100, you'll see now we've kind of changed the rough directionality of the wind here. Now, of course, I've exaggerated the speed for demonstration purposes. Just keep that in mind. We can also choose the noise tiling. So if I increase this value to something like 0.08, you'll see now we've kind of changed the tiling of that noise swirly pattern in it. And lastly, we've got the wind noise contrast. And again, it's going to change the contrast of the wind pattern in it. So if I increase that like this, you'll see now we're really get some strong contrast there. If I reduce it to a negative value, you can kind of just reduce the intensity of the swirling in it. Again, taking a look at the example in this other level here, I've used the wind settings here to add a little bit of ground fog in our scene. So this is a very handy little tool to know about. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to re-add all the fog cards in this scene to show you how I would use EasyFog in a real world situation. All right, so let's get started. Usually what I like to do is I like to establish the core basics first. Really the main elements of fog, the one that really stand out. And what I like to do is looking at these references right here, I love that misty, low-hanging, foggy clouds that you see on the West Coast. So I'm going to try and mimic that on these mountains right here. So I'm going to start by switching my fog alpha here. I'm going to use this one instead. just as a rough basic. And so right now we've got a pretty huge one. This is massive. I may have to scale this down, but I like establishing the shape of things pretty early on. I'm going to move this like that here. Something like this. And I'm going to duplicate it by holding the Alt key and moving. And I'm going to change the alpha. Again, I'm going to use this one right here. And use the correct normal map as well. I'm going to remove this here. Scroll it down like that. I like these fog alphas because they already kind of have that swirliness in them, right? Again, looking at the snowy environment I made right over here, this is a classic use case of how I achieve that swirly, low-hanging fog look. It's all thanks to these alphas. Again, I'm going to duplicate this, add another one here, and rotate it into place. I'm going to move it maybe a little bit closer to the camera like that, and move it like this. Again, this might be too much. It's probably overkill, but again, we can control a whole lot of things. We can increase the geometry fading distance. We can reduce the emissive intensity, 0.2, and reduce the normal map intensity, like 0.1 or 0.5, just a little something. We're just kind of, really we're kit bashing clouds in our scene. Again, I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to add, and let's say, what else have we got here? I'm going to try maybe this one like that. And I'm going to use that as kind of a low hanging one in the foreground this time around. So something like this over here, duplicate that like that, like this. It is quite literally almost like kit bashing. I'm going to rotate it, invert it like this, like that. Cool, so now we kind of get this low-hanging fog in a foreground. And next, before I get too carried away, I want to show you something that I actually love using EasyFog for. And that is, if I duplicate this over here, I always liked occluding the tops of mountains with clouds because, again, looking at reference, on really foggy days, the tops of mountains are almost always occluded. It's low, it's a foggy day, you don't see very high up because of that low pressure in the atmosphere. Or high pressure, I don't know, I'm not a meteorologist. But what I like to do is I like using the smooth radial alpha here, like this, and really, it doesn't have much texture to it. But the reason I like to use it is for the following. I'm going to scale this way up to something really large and scale it in one axis like that. And just like that, you'll see just having a fog card with a very high geometry fading distance value like this, it kind of helps simulate the exponential height fog in Unreal Engine. Now, to be clear, EasyFog is not intended to replace the exponential height fog. It is meant to be used alongside it as a complement of sorts. So we've got this here. I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to move it closer, and I'm going to scale it down just so that it's really just going to clip the top of the mountain and just occlude it a little bit, like that. We can also increase the fog density maybe. And so now, again, the color might feel a little bit wrong, so I might go tweak the color a little bit, make it darker or brighter, add saturation or reduce saturation, just to kind of help it match the background a little bit better. And from there, duplicating that card in the foreground again, I'm going to move this over here. And I don't really like this card right now. I want something, again, I want one of those swirly textures on it, right? So I'm going to use maybe something like this, and with this correct normal map right there. And I'm going to lift it up, and just like that, we do have that kind of magical feeling of that low-hanging, swirly, very early morning vibe. Now, of course, keep in mind, I'm doing this on a whim. If I had more time to spend on it, it would be a lot more finessed and polished, but I think you get the point. We're starting to get something that kind of feels pretty good very fast. And so again, if we really want to polish and massage it in place, we can adjust the normal map intensity a little bit. We can play with the fog density, right? We can also adjust the geometry fading distance like that. We've got a little bit of wind in there on the top, which can definitely help breathe a little bit of extra life in there. It might be hard to see in the video, but hopefully you can see. Again, this is all very subtle, and you're going to have to art direct this the way you see fit. But now you know all of the settings available in EasyFog, so you can go ahead and start using this in your own projects. But really, that's all there is to it. You can use the demo scene provided as a starting point to reverse engineer how I achieve this kind of look and how you can apply that look to your own level in Unreal Engine 5. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Again, you can find EasyFog both on Gumroad and the ArtStation Marketplace for download, link below. And as always, folks, happy rendering.